So this video is going to cover how to replace the component of this data wheel. So underneath here, there is actually a component that does go bad on these MPC 2000xls, and it's a very cheap fix if you do it by yourself. So if you look, there are screws over here on the right panel, there are screws over here on the left panel, there are screws on the back of the device, and then there's also going to be screws on this front panel here. So you need to remove all of those screws. Once you remove the screws, you do need to make sure that you have this taken off right here. It should just come right off. And then you would take off this front panel, like so. Then you remove the casing here. Now every step of the way when you do this, make sure you're just very careful with it. You don't want to damage any of the buttons or any of the components. Put the screen down right there. And then that's just the top of it. You can see the top of it. It comes right off. Now if you look, here's the data wheel. You could probably remove this before you even take the outer casing off, but this case, it just pulls straight up. Now we can see this is the component right here that I need to replace, and I do have the replacement right here. Now on this, there are these 3 prongs here that are actually going to connect to the board, and then these on the side are going to connect as well, and that's going to keep it into place. So I'm going to remove this. So you can see there's a screw here and a screw here, and this device seems to just keep that data dial more stable for you. And then you're going to just want to pull this up. Now you can see right here we do have connections. Okay, now we can try to remove these, but I want to try to do it in a way where I don't need to try to remove these, and then I could just put this board over like this and kind of just access the bottom of this. If you look here, 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 and right here, we got screws that we need to undo, and that's going to enable us to flip this circuit board. So I'm just going to unscrew these. Now you do want to be careful, you don't want to damage this. You might want to remove this. If you pull this forward, you can pull this out. And this is just a connection to your sensors on your pads. But anyway, if you pull this forward, then this comes out easily, and then you can get to that screw. So now that the screws are undone, I can flip this over and be very careful with it, obviously. Now on the underside of this, we got 1, 2, 3 connections here and these connections here. Right here are the connections I was showing you on this. So right here and right here is this and this. Then you got 1, 2, 3 right there that you're going to connect and solder, and it should be pretty simple to do. Now once you have it like this, you got to remove the old solder and then resolder it back on after you pull the part off. Now I'm going to give you a disclaimer, I'm not a professional at this, so please use caution when you do this, and please, you know, like, don't damage yourself or the device when you're doing this. And you know, if you need to pause the video here, go look up a couple videos on how to solder. There are a ton of them online, and you know, I just don't want you to damage yourself or the device. So I actually purchased this soldering iron off Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description for this particular one, but you can get these anywhere at your local hardware store, what have you. And then I'm going to use this right here, this wick, this no clean wick I ordered on the Amazon. Again, I'll leave a link for this in the description, but this wick right here is going to absorb the solder when I heat it up. Alright, so I'm going to remove the solder. I'm going to put this on the circuit board and then put my soldering gun onto it and start to remove this solder. So I successfully desoldered this right here and then these 3 connections here. So what I'm going to do now is put the new device within there, resolder these back, and then these as well, and then we'll test it out and see if it actually works. So it should be pretty simple to do. I got this solder right here. This is just the solder that came with the kit that I ordered. I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. You can see, if you can see that, there's 1 hole, 2 holes, and then 3 holes underneath. It's going to line up just like that. Alright, so I got that in there. Now all I got to do is solder it in. Alright, so when you do this, make sure you put the solder gun on here, get these heated, and then put the solder on. Alright, so I successfully soldered that back into place. I'm going to turn off my soldering iron. And then I want to screw my circuit board back into place, put the casing on, and then we'll go ahead and put the data dial wheel, this actual wheel, back on there, and then let's go ahead and see how it works. Alright, so I screwed everything back into place. I just want to mention this. When you put this top on, plug this in first before you do these 2 side screws. This way, these actually get screwed into the body here. Like, these go together. And, you know, you're pretty good there. Now, what I got to do now is simply put these back into place. So I'm going to put my slider back into place. Slider's feeling pretty good. I'm going to put this back into place. It lines up. You just got to look at it and then line it up. And it just goes right on. And then you're able to spin it. Turn on the MPC. Everything's coming back on. Now I don't have my memory in there, but let's go ahead and look at this data dial. So you can see, again, sequence 1, we're good. Over to sequence 2, back to sequence 1. And it's just as good. Good as new. Again, I'll leave a link for the soldering that I did use. I'm pretty happy that this worked out. I will do more videos about this MPC 2000xl. I'll put them in a playlist, and I'll leave the playlist like right over here. It might take a little bit of time to get that playlist filled with some stuff, but I want to get the, you know, the 8-out expansion on here and perhaps the effects on there. So I'll leave those in that playlist. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.